Hey everybody, Sean Holsinger here from holsingersflyshop.com, bringing you another tying video like always. And this week I was looking around for something to do, trying to find something different to tie, and kind of wanted to tie a streamer because I haven't tied one for a while, and wanted to use some different materials than I sometimes do in streamers. And I found a Gunner Brammer pattern, which Gunner is an incredible streamer pattern tire. And I've met him at Symposium before, great guy. And he has a really cool pattern. It's called the Seasoned Geezer that he uses for trout. It's a little bit on the small side, which is nice. What I'm looking for, this one's going to be about 2.5 inches long, perfect size, nice color, natural colors. And I'm going to tie it a little bit different. I'm just using pretty much the same way, but using some different materials. Like I always say, don't get stuck on I have to have this exact thing for the pattern or it's not going to work. Use what you have available to you. And what I have available to me isn't what he had in his shop. So I'm using some materials that's going to substitute for what he used and still achieve the same look. Like I said, this is called the Seasoned Geezer. I'm not sure why he calls it that. He's got some great names for his flies. This is one of them. And it's really cool, and it's actually really easy to tie, and only a couple materials. So for as intricate looking as this fly may be, it's not as high on the scale of, skill level scale that you might think it needs to be. So give it a try, guys. You're going to have a lot of fun with it. Mess around. Couple techniques that I've showed in other videos, so I don't really zoom in on them as much as I used to, like dubbing loops. I'd use a dubbing loop in this, and I'm just going to show you, how I put the dubbing loop on, because I've done dubbing loops in hundreds of videos before, it feels like. So, go back and watch one of my older dubbing loop videos if you need to see a way to do that. And maybe that's something I'll do. Maybe I'll do a video just specifically on dubbing loops and how to make them and stuff. So there's an idea, maybe. Anyway, guys, hope you like this fly. Here it is in the vise and the material list to tie it. Okay, there you see in the vise, Gunner Brammer's Seasoned Geezer. Really cool. It's a variation of it, but really cool looking streamer pattern. Will work great for trout. Heck, you could even probably hammer the walleye and smallmouth on this one too. But let's get into tying it here. For a hook, I'm using a 2220 Daiichi. This is a size 6. This is a 4 extra long shank, and just gives it a nice extra bit of length to it. So we're going to use that, and just going to start our thread on there. You can really use whatever color thread you want here, brown, black, whatever. I have some wood duck already on the spool, so we're just going to use some wood duck, and I'm going to trim off my tag end. Next thing I'm going to use is some black barred rabbit strip. This is gold variant, and you see how it's got that black line across the top of it. Just gives it a little bit of color, nice color change to it there. What I want to do is I'm going to cut this about 1.5 inches long. And I'm going to lay it up here where the eyes are going to be. And I want it to end where the eyes are going to be. So where my thread is, I'm going to split the fur in half. And that's where I'm going to tie it down. So I'm just going to wet my fingers a little bit, make that tie-in point a little bit sharper and cleaner. So there we go. There you can see I just separated the fur, and I'm just going to tie it down right there, right above the barb of the hook. And I want to keep that level on top. Make sure it don't spin around your hook. Put 4 or 5 good turns on there so it puts it in place where we want it. And then we're just going to fold this back out of the way. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some EP fibers, and these are white. And what I'm going to do is I cut it off the shank of it, whatever you call it there, the whole pile of it. And I'm just going to pull a couple fibers out so I get different lengths of fibers like you see there. I don't want a nice clean cut. I want it different lengths like that. And I'm just going to flip my vise upside down because it's easier for me, but whatever. If you need to tie it up the right way, that's fine too, however you need to do it. And I'm going to bring my thread back here a little bit, and I'm going to tie this into place. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it the same length as the leather, so this sticks out a little bit further for a tail. But then we're just going to tie it down. And you're going to get 2 or 3 nice wraps here. Okay. And then we're going to trim this off. Now, I'm just going to clean that up, bring this wrap forward just a hair. And I'm going to do it all over again. I'm going to do this about 4 times probably. You know, make those uneven again. Lay it down on top, this time a little shorter than the last. I don't want them all to be the same length as the tail. I want this to taper, so I'm going to each one be a little bit shorter than the last one. There you can see. Repeat the process again. Pull those out. Clean that wrap up a little bit. Oops. Shorten it up. And I'm going to go about, I'm going to say a good, almost 3/4 of the way up this shank. Almost. 2/3, almost 3/4. So we're going to do one more here. Yep, let's clean this up a little bit. There we go. We're going to make this our last one. Get that wrapped down there nice and tight. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a needle or a bodkin or something. I'm just going to separate this fiber and get half of it going down one side of the hook and half down the other, as you can see there. So just to get it flowing nice over the hook. Next thing I'm going to do is add some Mylar tubing. And for the Mylar tubing, this is just some small Mylar tubing. I'm just going to take my brush. Oops, I've got a fly in the brush. And I'm just going to run my brush through it a little bit, rough it up, get the fibers to stand out like that. And then we're going to slide this over the hook. And I don't want to push this back over those fibers, so I want my tie-in point to be right there where my EP fibers ended. So make sure you don't go past that. Okay. Now we're going to take the end on the front here, and I'm going to try to push that back up over my other wraps, and it's going to tend to lean back. And then we're gonna brush it out too. Brushing it out will help it, because we want to get those fibers going a little bit of everywhere. Okay, now bring it back up here where it's supposed to be. There we go. And then, like you see, these fibers are just flashy and going everywhere. That's what we want. And I don't want to trap down my EP fibers. So that looks nice. So we're just going to tie these in place here. There we go. That I can bring this back up on top where it's supposed to be. Let me get focus back in here. Okay, now that we're in this position, now we're going to tie our eyes down. And for eyes, I'm using the 3/16 dumbbell eyes, and I'm tying this on the bottom. And I'm going to keep a good healthy eye length back. So you can see I got room between my eye, my dumbbell eye, and the hook eye. So just going to wrap this into place. You can glue this and set this if you like. I oftentimes like to, you see how it's turning around on me there a little bit. So I sometimes will take and put a little bit of like a medium viscosity My bottle's getting low here, so give me a second. And I'll just lock it in place with a little bit of this. There we go. Get it on the hook and on the eye and stuff, so it locks into place. Okay, now that I got my eye set, I'm going to pull this rabbit strip down over the head. And I'm going to tie it in right there at that eye. You can see how I'm right at the eye. So we're going to tie it in, making sure it stays centered on top. And then I'm going to wrap back over the eyes and figure eight it in place over top of the eyes and go behind the eyes too. Because we need to build up a nice head on this. So we're just going to make some figure eight wraps around here, some wraps in front, some wraps behind. And there we have the minnow. Now it's time to put the head on this fly. For the head, I'm using some EP fibers, and these are sulfur colored. And what I'm doing is I'm cutting about 1.5 inch long strips here. And I'm going to make a dubbing loop with this and make a nice long strand of it out of 1.5 inch long strips. You've seen me do the dubbing loops on many other videos, so I'm not going to get into great detail on it here. But I'm going to use my dubbing loop tool. Okay, we're just going to bring the thread up here, go around it once over, so you make your nice loop in here connection, and then I'm going to stick my EP fibers in between there, and I'm going to make a nice long strand of them. And these things are pretty nice because they stick together when you put them in there, and they're easy to work with. That's why I like working with these EP fibers. It's a little bit long. There we go. Get them all in here. Tighten my loop down, and now I'm going to spread them all out so I get them evenly spaced. And then I'm just going to, once I get them evenly spaced and centered, I'm just going to start wrapping them around and get a good twist on them here. So they're going to twist up. Okay, and then I'm going to, after I get them twisted up there good, I'm just going to take them, brush them out just a little bit, get all the fibers out and not trapped. Alright, once I get them all untrapped there, I'm going to wet my fingers and I'm going to pull them backwards so they're all going the same direction, and I'm just going to start wrapping around, first behind the eyes, like 1 or 2 wraps behind the eyes. Oops. And I'm constantly pulling the fibers back here so I don't trap fibers. Then once I get 1 or 2 behind the eyes, then we're going to wrap through the eyes. And we're going to figure eight in there. Oops, I had to bring my thread up front. There we go. Okay, now we're going to figure eight through the eyes so we can get good coverage in the eye area. And this doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to trim this here in a second. So main thing is we get lots of fibers on top because that's where we're going to need more of them. And there we go. We're just going to cover that whole head up, and then we're going to tie it off. Okay, then we'll trim our dubbing loop off and make a nice little head here, and then whip finish it off. Okay, I'm going to trap some fibers there, it looks like, so you gotta be careful you don't trap fibers. Okay, now that I'm whip finished off, now it's time to trim this guy up. So for the trimming, I'm just going to take my brush and I'm going to brush everything backwards, get it going the right direction so I can see what I need to trim. Okay. There we got it all brushed the right direction. Now we're going to come in and trim this, and I'm going to start down here on the bottom. And I don't want a lot on the bottom. I want it to be, how do I want to say it? I don't want it to be a weedless hook. I want the fish to be able to get to the hook. So I don't want a whole lot of fibers in front intruding the path. So I'm just going to trim that up on the bottom, as you see there. And I usually trim off over the eyes if there's ones protruding over the eyes. And then I'll go over the sides. And I don't want it very heavy on the side. I want that minnow profile. You know, it's thin. But I want the color to come through there. So now we're just going to switch over to the other side, and we're going to trim the sides off here. Alright, now on the top I'm going to leave it a little bit longer. Just kind of trim it up and knock off the scraggly ones more or less. And there you can see I got it pretty well done. Now what I'm going to do, this sulfur, I'm going to take a little brown marker, just a brown Sharpie or something. I'm going to just color the top of this just to model. Nothing in life, nothing. You have blemishes on your skin and stuff like that, so it's not really a solid color. Your skin's not really a solid color, so I'm going to come in and do the same thing. Like, it just looks more natural. You can even like make some definition in there if you want. Like that. And then let that dry up before you go fishing it, and it'll be good to fish. So pretty cool looking streamer, easy to tie actually, a lot easier than it looks. Give it a try, guys. Alright guys, that was a cool looking pattern. I hope you enjoyed tying it as much as I do. Like I said, I like to tie different things. This one is no different. It's different than everything else I've been tying lately. And you know, it's getting into season where I'm starting to stock the box and tying a lot of Scott's Big Nymphs and different things like that. So I need a break. I want to tie some streamers. That's usually where I go to, tying big articulated streamers and stuff. This one's not articulated, but it's a fun break for me. So maybe that's your thing. Maybe leave a comment down below. Tell me what you like to, you know, if you get in a rut tying the same thing, or you know, something season's coming and you always use waltz worms or something, but you like to tie something different. What's your go-to thing to tie whenever, you know, whenever you're getting bored at the bench, which happens to me a lot because being a commercial tyer, I got to tie the same thing over and over and I just want to break. So for me, my break a lot of times is streamers. What's yours? It'll be fun to hear that. Leave it down in the comments below. And if you need any material, like always, guys, I put all the lists down in the comments down below here, and just scroll down there and I have links to all the material on our website. And thank you guys for supporting the shop. It's been great and it's a lot of fun bringing you these videos. So until next week when I bring you another one, guys, I'm Holsinger.